Let's discuss this militarization, this military persuasion in three contexts. First, the militarization of Chinese society, beginning with the breakdown of law and order in the middle of the 19th century. Second, the militarization of the state, essential to China's survival in the 20th century. Third, particularly under Mao Zedong, the militarization of the soul, of the way in which people think and act at the height of China's Cultural Revolution. This is a period of inevitable militarization, in part because it's a period of dynastic transition, or in modern parlance, of revolution. It may be true, as a famous saying has it, that you cannot rule from horseback. But it is also true, at least in Chinese history, that you don't seize power from a sedan chair. You seize power from horseback, or as Mao Zedong would put it, through the barrel of a gun. Looking back to the middle of the 19th century, it's difficult to overestimate the degree of dislocation that the mid-century rebellions, the Taiping Rebellion in particular, the Nian Rebellion, caused at that time. In some districts, 2/3 of the population was recorded dead or missing. Ghost towns, like in the American West, sprung up. Social services, like dikes and irrigation networks, broke down. The great floods, of which the one in 1852 was only the greatest, marked the landscape. One gentleman in Anhui province reported on his home county of Guangde, he said, from 1860 to 1864, people could not grow food. Toward the end, all the roots and herbs in the hills were exhausted, and cannibalism occurred. Epidemics struck. Corpses and human skeletons piled up, and weeds choked the roads. Within a radius of 10 leagues, there was no vestige of humanity. The county's original population was over 300,000. By the time the rebels, that is the Taiping, were cleared, only 6,000 survived. This was, he wrote, a catastrophe unique for this locality since the beginnings of the human race. So these are conditions, this great rebellion of the mid-19th century, in which, to a great degree, previous forms of law and order broke down. The Qing military was helpless, generally speaking, at least initially, against the Taiping, and if people were to resist the Taiping, they had to do so to some degree on their own, to take law into their own hands. And that's what they did, on a local level, and ultimately on a provincial and regional level, in extended networks of militia, not altogether unlike the American Minutemen, or farmers mobilized to protect their property and their perceived rights against an external force, and led by the eminent people of the area. In our case, the Reveres and the Daws, and theirs, the Tsungs and the Lees. But if our Massachusetts militia has been pretty much disbanded as a force, and was early on with the raising of our Continental Army, that was not the case in 19th century China. Even after the Taipings were gone, there was a continuing pattern of unrest, of banditry, general lack of order that required militia on a quasi-permanent basis. And so we have, from the middle of the 19th century, enduring structures of provincial armies, the Shang Army, the Huai Army, that were essentially all that remained of the Qing military structure until toward the end of the century. There were multiple regional centers of militarization vis-a-vis the West, the Jiangnan Arsenal in Shanghai, the Fuzhou shipyard in Fuzhou, but no overwhelming national commitment. And it would take an international humiliation of some proportions to get the court to reverse this trend toward the provincialization of force. That humiliation was provided by the Japanese in the War of 1894 and 1895, losing to the dwarf pirates of Japan, humiliating enough, and then the loss to the entire world in the Boxer War, in which 20,000 not particularly well-armed or well-coordinated foreigners came and humiliated an empire of 420 million.